Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review for the feature races for Formula 2 and Formula 3 for Monaco. A couple of pretty crazy races. Formula 2 definitely more so than Formula 3, but we're going to do this in chronological order. So we'll be starting with Formula 3, bright and early, 7 a.m. start, I believe, Monaco time. Nicholas Olive on pole, Roman Belinsky P2 for this feature race. James Headley, who had crashed yesterday in the sprint race, withdrew from the feature race with a hand injury. So hopefully he's not injured too badly, and he'll be able to come back next weekend for Barcelona. So Solov, really good start. He keeps the lead going into the first corner, and Mary Boya, who started the grid, P3 on the grid, skips the first corner. Lap 2, Bruno Del Pino pits basically at the end of lap 1 after having contact with Marinangeli at the Nouvelle Chicane. Looked like it was a bit of a clumsy one by Marinangeli. He had quite a few moments today, and he would basically retire in the pits, but actually he would end up coming back 5 laps into the race. At this point, the two Rodin cars, P2, P4, gaining on the two Campos's ahead. Lap 12, Georgi driving the high-tech pits with a puncture. Lap 13, Ugochukwu straight lines the chicane at the Nouvelle Chicane, but does not lose a position. He was pretty far ahead of the car alongside, so he didn't really have to give a position back there. Lap 15, Benavides, he is given a 10-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. At this point as well, Stromstead overtakes Intro Pupasak for P18. So one of the few on-track overtakes. We didn't get to see it on screen, but we did see it on the timing tower. And this is kind of where we had our first moment, big moment of the race with Noel Leon off at Portier. Basically just kind of a bit of a clumsy mistake there, and he was off into the barriers, and he was in P6 at that point. So a bit of a clumsy one there, and unfortunate for him as he was in a pretty good points paying position. Now, lap 19, of course, we had the safety car out because of this. Safety car ends. Basically it looked like he had contact with Wirtz as well, so it wasn't entirely clear. But yeah, contact with Wirtz. I forgot to mention there that definitely contributed to Leon going off. But safety car ends, and right away we can tell Wirtz looks like he has an issue. He basically come on the radio asking, "Do I have a puncture?" It says on my dash I have a puncture. The team asks him on the radio, "How does it feel to drive the car?" He says wrong, and despite that, he decides not to pit. And this would definitely have implications for what would happen when the safety car ended. So basically, right away, it's pretty clear that Wirtz is having issues, and the two AOT cars behind him, Van Hoopen and Tappinen, are trying as quickly as they can to get past. But because this is Monaco, very, very difficult to overtake. Van Hoopen gets ahead, got ahead of Tappinen as well. Didn't see where that happened, but he also gets ahead of Wirtz, basically going down into the Nouvelle Chicane. The whole lap, basically, the rest of the lap continues. And Wirtz basically is still driving along, not pulling over, and you can see there's basically, in the bottom shot, which is from the following lap, there's a pretty big long train of cars that are basically trying to pass, and this was basically just causing chaos. Again, it's kind of damning of Monaco when you can have three wheels and you can still basically keep most of the grid behind you. But yeah, Wirtz doesn't pit there. Probably should have. Really dumb move by him not to. And he basically comes up Massenet, loses control of the car, and is into the wall there. So he is out there with a puncture. So yeah, really dumb driving, careless driving by Wirtz. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of grid penalty for the next race. GSD and Wharton contact as well as a hairpin. Ugochukwu, some kind of issue there. He dropped 5 or 6 places as well. So unfortunate for him. Lap 21, Brando Bador off at Portier, and he was hit by Marangeli, his second event of this race, and that gave him another 10-second penalty followed by a safety car. Safety car ends, and we see Kamara. He coming into the pits right away, and we're kind of a bit surprised. And we suddenly see that he has 3 tires on his car. And, just as the safety car is coming in, as, drivers are getting off, going away, the wheel basically just comes loose, and it basically makes a bid for freedom, goes off on the track. Luckily hits the wall. I think it ran over Durskin's or Dufek's front wing, a bit of damage there. But yeah, luckily, flying tires can be very dangerous, so luckily it lands in a pretty safe place. And Kamara, not really sure what just happened, goes into the pit lane. Lap 25, Dominguez, 10-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Dufek basically needs to get a new front wing, I think, as well after that. And so that is your Formula 3 feature race. Solov, pretty dominant victory, controlled the pace very well. When there was green flag racing, really good pace, and basically built gaps up to 6-7 seconds as well. So yeah, that is his 5th Formula 3 win, takes the all-time record, which is a bit surprising it's so low, but generally not that many races, less than Formula 2 and 30 drivers. So again, those wins are going to be spread out a lot more. As well, just before the checkered flag, I believe the lap before, Taylor now was basically dumped into the wall by Marinangeli, so that was his 3rd incident. So it's been quite the crash class by Marinangeli at Monaco this weekend, and that was at Antonino's, the final corner. So taking a look at your result, as well as your championship standings for the F3 race in Monaco. So your race result, Solov, Belinsky, and Boyer rounding out the podium. And then for the rest of your points finishers, you have Voisin, Tramnitz, Van Hoopen, Tappinen, Stenshorn, Louis Sharp, and GSD rounding out the top 10 finishers. In terms of your championship lead, Rafa Kamara still leads there, 77 points. Tramnitz second on 64, but Solov, big move up today with that win. He's now sitting on 61 points in 3rd. Stromstead drops to 4th, 52, a bit of a tough weekend for him. He was 2nd in the championship coming into this weekend. Tappinen is 5th on 51 points. 6th is Voisin on 40, 7th Belinsky on 38, 8th Ramos on 35, Stenshorn 9th also on 35, and Boyer is 10th on 32 points. So now we're going to do the doubleheader. We're going to move right into the Formula 2 race, and boy, what a Formula 2 race that was. I can't wait to talk about this race. This was a race that had so few racing laps that we only got quarter points, and only the top 5 scored points. So yeah, great driving standards all around today in Formula 2. So it started with Alex Dunn on pole, Martins P2. Things not looking great right away as Montoya. He would have quite the race. He stalls on the grid, and he basically has to start the race from the pit lane. And as we get into turn one, Dunn has a really bad start, but he's built up quite the reputation so far this season for being a very aggressive driver. And he decides he doesn't want to lose, he doesn't want to give up the position at turn 1. And so he basically sticks the nose down the inside, doesn't see the position. Martins, I guess, maybe could have given a little bit more space on the inside to Dunn, but realistically, no one's really, after you lose a position at Monaco, especially at turn 1, most drivers would decide, hey, we're going to just, get through the race, get through the first lap, and we'll think about retaking the position in the pits. But Dunn decided, no, I want that position, and I'll have it right now. Thank you very much. So obviously, as you can see from the picture, Dunn has basically already started pirouetting Martins' car around, and it would basically continue. Martins would go straight into the barrier, Dunn would go straight in the barrier, and given that this is lap 1, turn 1 of Monaco, most drivers behind didn't have much of a chance to react. So the ensuing pileup looks something like this. Quite a few, I think we lost 7 drivers due to damage from that or various incidents. We'll go through them at the end of the video, not now. But yeah, quite the pileup. I believe the Trident went over the back of Gerther's car as well in that mess. I think, the picture looks a little bit worse than it actually was. Most of those drivers that you can see were able to continue and get going. But yeah, 7 drivers not able to continue. We get a red flag, and we get basically a 1 hour delay or so until the race was able to resume. Resumes about an hour later, 2 laps under the safety car, and we have a rolling start because I know the race director is like, we don't have time for this. We have to get this show on the road. because we have a deadline because of F1. And that's basically what happened. Right from the restart, it was announced that it was going to be a timed race. So we had about like 28 minutes or so. So basically, realistically, you're going to have like, 15, 20 laps, maybe if you're lucky, in those kinds of situations. Actually, I'm trying to think, how many laps would you have? Yeah, you'd have maybe 15 laps if you were lucky, 15, to 20 if you were really lucky. But yeah, unfortunately, further things would happen and we'd have even less than that. So Fornaroli leads Montoya, I believe. Yes, is that right? No, that's not right. Okay, I'm just getting ahead of myself. Yeah, Fornaroli leads Montoya for P2. So Montoya, despite the fact that he started from the pit lane, starts P2 now. And the timing tower was not working, so it's really hard to figure out who else was, where. But we get going, first lap, and Durskin in a pretty good position, I think. I think he was about 5th or 6th in the race at this point. He basically tries to go for a really ambitious move around Miney at Raskas. Isn't able to make a stick. I think he also got a little bit caught out. I think Miney broke a little bit earlier than he was expecting. But nonetheless, taps Miney slightly, and then that sends him offline, and he ends up going into the wall at Raskas, and then basically continues on basically towards the other end of Raskas, and that brought out a virtual safety car. Lindblad P3 at this point, and there's only 14 cars left in the race with Durskin out. With 25 minutes to go, VSC ends, and lap 23, Gerther starts the pit cycle, as of course, because this is the F2 feature race, they still have a mandatory pit stop in here. Lap 21, Bennett and Megatuna very, very close in the pit lane. No contact. That would have been, I don't know. Obviously, that would have been very dangerous, but that would have just been the cherry on top on what's been a very chaotic Formula 2 race. Lap 14, Beganovic. We get our next crash, and this is Beganovic crashes at Casino, and this initially brings out the virtual safety car. At first, basically, he had tapped the wall at the exit of St. Devote on the left-hand side. And so basically going up through Massenet, it's basically a right-hand corner. So the next time you get to Casino, that's the next, first left-hand corner after St. Devote. And the car basically could not cope. It basically, rear suspension basically just fails on the left-hand side of the car. And he basically goes at pretty high speed into the Tech Pro barriers at the exit of Casino. Yeah, broken suspension, turn 1, like I said. So you get the virtual safety car to start, and eventually this switches to a full safety car. The top 3 all forced to stay out because they basically missed the safety car pit entry. Because you can't pit under a virtual safety car in Formula 2, but you can under a safety car. So it switches to a safety car right as Jack Crawford is basically there, and he's the first to pit. Lindblad gets he's the first to pit under that situation, so he comes into the pits. The top 3 go around, do another lap. They all pit, and Lindblad gets ahead of Montoya in the pits. Unfortunately for him, he would pick up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so not great for him there. And yeah, at this point, Crawford is miles ahead, and basically because the top 3 had to do a whole lap behind the safety car, they were basically stuck behind the safety car, so they can't go any faster, whereas Crawford has a little bit more flexibility with how fast he goes, and he's basically easily able to undercut all 3 of them and comes out in the lead. What else? Oh yeah, Megatinov gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in a pit lane, so there's another one. And I think somewhat controversially, at this point you have about 8 minutes left in the race, and they call a red flag. They basically decide the Tech Pro barrier is too much damage, we can't fix it, there's not enough time left because of Formula 1, and so the race basically gets called under I'm not gonna say shady, but obviously to the average viewer, it's gonna look pretty suspicious. And judging by the comments on social media that I just briefly looked at while making this video, it seems like a lot of people are not happy with how this race finished. And yeah, Lindblad gets a penalty for speeding, so he drops from 3rd, I believe, at this point, drops to 5th, which I guess luckily for him was the final point-paying position of today's race. So taking a look at your results we'll just do we can do the whole result. We'll do the top 10, and then we'll also go over the retirements as well, just because there's quite a few of them, so might as well do that. So Crawford wins your F2 Monaco feature race from Fornaroli and Montoya. Browning 4th, Lindblad 5th. Those are the only drivers that get points today. Miney 6th, Stanek 7th, Villa Gomez 8th, 9th Gerther, 10th Bennett, 11th Shields, 12th Cordial, and then 13th Mega Tune-Up. Your DNFs from this race, there's quite a long list. It's the other 9 drivers, and that is Bogdanovich, Durskin, Dunn, Martens for sure, Mini, Miata, Marti, and Esterson. So there you go. That is your result. We might as well go over the championship standings as well while we're at it. So let me just grab that from my phone. Yeah, we're going to just grab that and we can just take a look at the top, even though not a whole lot has changed. So Luke Browning is now your championship leader, sitting on 70 points. Dunn second, 65. To be honest, I would not be surprised if Dunn picks up some kind of penalty for, I think he is definitely the primary cause of that big crash. I do think, I know first lap, first corner racing incident, argument could be there, but I do think it was, a little bit too aggressive from Dunn. So again, wouldn't be surprised if he picks up a pretty hefty grid penalty for the next race in Barcelona. But only now 5 points behind. Could have been a lot worse, especially if this had been a full points race. Fornaroli third, 64, fourth for Shaw on 59, fifth Crawford 56, sixth Lindblad on 51, seventh Marty on 41, eighth Martens on 33, ninth Bogdanovich on 29, 10th Mini on 20, and then beyond that Montoya sits on 10 and 11th, 12th Miney on 15, 13th Gerth on 13, 14th Stanek on 12, Durskin 15th on 11 points, 16th Phil Gomez on 5, Miata in 17th on 3, and Megatune of 18th on 1, followed by Bennett, Shields, Cordial, and Esterson all on 0 points. So there you go. That is my review for both the Formula 2 and Formula 3 feature races. Haven't done, junior categories in quite a while. Just the timing's been, quite bad for me personally, or they've been in the middle of the night for me, and it's also, quite bad for me. But had quite a bit of time this evening, so thought might as well review those 2 races. Of course, we have F1 to look forward to as well. That'll be later tonight, but I'll be doing my review when I wake up in the morning. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.